I love Sonic. I'm not sure if any of you caught on to that with, my Sonic shrine or my earrings or my drawings or, anything like that, but it is unfortunately true. In December, I went to the opening show of the opening night of the third Sonic movie in true Sonic-a-boo fashion, and holy crap, Lois, it was spectacular. Now, obviously, more than a month has passed since then, with absolute radio silence on my end of the stick, but that was for good reason. I just really wanted to avoid spoiling the movie for anyone, because if it were me and I were doom scrolling on TikTok, I would be mad as hell if someone spoiled it for me. Especially if it's a movie I've been waiting for literal years. But now, with the digital release finally available to all of us little losers, and with the confirmed release date, and that beautiful pink little logo that had me giggling and kicking my feet unveiled to us, I feel like the time is finally right to come on here and ramble a bit about the movie. But honestly, I'm more so here to talk about this little diva. As much as I'd love to give a full-on review of the third movie, every time I try to put into words how I feel or even just mention anything I liked or would change about it, my brain just turns to absolute goo in short circuits. It's kind of like a self-induced overstimulation. It's hard to articulate how much I loved it, but just know I adored it, and it was everything I dreamed of, and then some. In all honesty, probably the only two things I would change would be the heavy focus on the Robotnik spanking saga. Like, whose idea was it to interrupt peak cinema with this? And also, honestly, I would have just killed off James Marsden Human, and yes, that is what I call him, because literally the whole movie and parallels were leading up to that. It would have upped the stakes even more, and it would have made way more sense. And honestly, I just want him to die. No offense. I always need a few months to form proper articulations of my thoughts, but when it comes to theories, wish lists, and anything that lets me get excited about what could be, I can think semi-coherently. Maybe it's just because I get so overwhelmed with excitement over what I just saw that words fail me, but whatever. So with all of that being said, let's get into why you're really here. Stupid Sonic movie rambling, and well, to start us off, since we're all sharing secrets, I hate Amy's movie design.
What?
Did not care for The Godfather.
How can you even say that, Dad?
Didn't like it.
Okay, now maybe the word hate is a little bit strong because it's Amy, so she will always be a cutie pie, but
Didn't like it.
literally in the theater, I had a feeling it would be her in Metal that are revealed. So at first I cheered, and then I kind of did because there's just something so off, and I don't think I'm the only person who feels that way, because my sister was beside me and did the same thing. I honestly think it's her little fringe in the front, because it looks like when you're trying to draw more detailed versions of the South Park characters, and you just start adding more and more details where they didn't exist before, which, like, no judgment, because me too, but I'm still allowed to point it out and say it looks kind of funky. Now, I know that we've kind of had this issue with all of the Sonic character reveals in the movies before, but they always got fixed in time for the next movie, so I'm still holding out hope. I mean, Sonic was a literal demon, as we have covered in the past. Tails looked like someone used the freeform tool on him one too many times. And Eggman looked like a mean gay that could have been a part of the Queer Eye for the Straight Guy posse.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
And Shadow, well, I mean, the improvement definitely was there, but he always looked good in my opinion. Same thing can be said for Metal. His design looks bomb as hell. I cannot wait to see what the fourth movie will bring to the table for him, because let's be honest, it's a dead serious fact that the series gets better and better with every new edition. Except for one. So if that fact and the quick end credits previews are anything to go off by, we are definitely in good hands. Now, I know that theorizing can only lead to heartaches when things don't go as you hoped, but it's fun to make believe and theorize. I mean, Star Wars fans have been doing it forever, and they are just the happiest people, right? So why can't we have our own tumultuous fun? For me, I think Sonic 4 will finally put more of a spotlight on actual canon Sonic lore. Similarly to the third movie, but this time with Amy at the forefront of it all. Because we need to know why and how did she suddenly appear? And what role is she going to play this time around? And where are they going to put all of these anthropomorphic characters that keep joining the series? This is why the humans should have died. These are all relatively valid questions and concerns because, let's be honest, they can't ever make up their mind on how to characterize this poor girl. Obviously, I think she's coming from Mobius. I think most people agree on that. And this movie's probably going to open the door to that world even further. I think maybe she got to Earth because she fell through a ring and landed on Earth from the earlier movies. Maybe she's been wandering around for a while and has been stalking secretly and watching Sonic and his friends. And the more she watched, the more she wanted to be part of it, seizing the opportunity finally to prove her worth against metal for Sonic. I think this would be a good way to tie in her semi-crazy vibes where she's kind of a stalker, but also her strong archetype that the series wants to push constantly. But on the front of who she is and what role she is going to play, I don't really know. Because in my opinion, she should have been in the third movie, because that is where her role really comes into play. Amy was always a pretty one-note, boy crazy, I need to be saved kind of character. That is up until Sonic Adventure 2, when they actually put her to proper use. Amy is the one who helped Shadow realize that obliterating the Earth in absolute chaos is not what Maria, or him, ever wanted. That event kind of catapulted her into being a bit more of a four-dimensional, thoughtful character. So I'm not really sure what depressing backstory they're gonna give to her, because let's be real, every character in the SCU has one. It's like a rite of passage to have your own special brand of trauma that shaped you. Maybe it'll be like she wasn't allowed to play with the boys, and she wants to be a part of the boys group, and she's cool, and they're gonna do some weird Sydney White type of stuff. I'm telling you. If Mobius does become a featured part of Sonic Movie 4, which I think is very likely, I think for sure we'll meet Cream, Cheese, and Vanilla, amongst others maybe. For sure Rouge will appear in the SCU, but I think that seat will likely be reserved for the Shadow the Hedgehog show that I firmly believe will be a reality one day. I am manifesting it. But this is not about her today. Amy is such a good character. I wish they would just make up their minds on how to characterize her. I hope maybe they take a page out of Sonic Prime's book and don't Flanderize her, but also don't dull her shine even more than they already have in the Sonic series past. But in reality, I think Amy will be very similar to her Sonic Boom counterpart. Very mature, sophisticated, and knows what she wants. And don't get me wrong, those are all good qualities, but very different from the Amy a lot of us grew up with. I think too much of one or another type of Amy can be draining. One is way too much and kind of batshit crazy, and the other one is like that annoying coworker who thinks they're your boss, but in reality they make 20 cents more than you.
If you have time to lean, you have time to clean, okay?
If that. Undoubtedly, they're gonna play a girl boss angle with Amy's character in the movies, which is in stark contrast to the first time we meet Amy ever in the games, where she's being saved by Sonic, whereas in this universe, it's the exact opposite. Speaking of oppositions, controversial take, but Amy doesn't need to be obsessed with Sonic in the movies, if that's what they want. I don't really care if Amy has a crush on Sonic or not. I don't even ship Son Amy. It is not my thing. In fact, I can see them going as far as making her not have a crush on him at all, and maybe him having a crush on her instead.
But he's gay.
I also don't think that's realistic for his character. It would be kind of a funny dichotomy in contrast to both of their characters' past yay or nay positions on their supposed relationship, which again, in the most recent years, they've been messing with.
Ooh, Son Amy. Spicy.
Yeah, I don't really care for that, but it seems to be obligatory in the genre.
Seriously, this team needs to get their shit together on how they characterize these characters. But what they need to not do is completely change her personality to fit some man-made archetype of what a strong female protagonist is supposed to represent. She does not need the Princess Peach treatment from the Mario movie. Amy doesn't need that, and she never has. Princess Peach didn't even need that, but that's a video for another day, because that just pissed me off too. Amy, despite being very girly and boy crazy, was always a quote-unquote girl boss in her own right. Some might say one of the best out there. I say that for sure. She had duality. She challenged the status quo, and we see that a lot through the different generations of Sonic. Or even through people undercutting her due to her pink and cutesy outward appearance. But in reality, she's capable of scaring even Knuckles out of a fight. She has her opinions and is never afraid to assert them without being obnoxious about it. She just always has this knowing air about her. Like when Knuckles wanted to thank Sonic but his masculinity wouldn't let him. She was the only one who could see through it and call him out on it without fearing retaliation. She nurtures but doesn't coddle. She fights but only for what she believes is right. She is semi-dependent on Sonic for many years, but when push comes to shove, she can stand her own ground and save the day. Honestly, in my eyes, she's the blueprint on how to write a good and semi-realistic female character for young girls to admire and look up to, despite her, being a walking, talking pink hedgehog alien. Obviously, she has her faults, like her insistently fawning over Sonic, and in turn perving on Shadow and Silver in the process. I mean, my poor girl's colorblind. Somebody help her! But to be honest, over the years, those wrinkles with her character have been sort of ironed out. They're still there, but she isn't crazy about it. They're not as prevalent. It's more like an internal struggle about her trying to get over her love for Sonic and discovering that she can love him, but also understand that it's just not in the cards. And she'll always have herself and all of her friends around her. She doesn't need a man. She is good as she is. You do not need to change her. I just hope they don't screw around and make her a whole new character but slap her name and face over it. I do not want a repackaged Princess Peach. I want Amy from Sonic Prime. That is literally the perfect iteration of her character, in my opinion. Well, those are all my thoughts, so please leave your ideas or theories or, whatever you want in the comments, because I need more things to taunt myself with as I fall asleep at night. I lay awake, counting the days until I get to hear who Amy will be played by. Which will undoubtedly be either someone like Anna Kendrick, which I hear a lot about, or a huge female pop star just for that wow factor.
Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god! What is that?
I know, wig.
And honestly, hot take, if it's gonna be a pop star, my pick would be Ariana Grande. She can do so many different voices and has proven that she's genuinely a great actor with amazing comedic timing, which, if you're gonna play Amy, you kind of need, because at her core, she is a funny character.
Wow. Crazy. You're crazy, girl.